Creador is said to be looking for an exit from RAM Holdings, in which the private equity firm holds a 19.9% stake. Creador is likely to accept an offer for its stake in RAM held via Oscar Matrix, sources tell The Edge. Oscar Matrix's stake is held under Creador for Fund. Creador is also a substantial shareholder of Cetos Digital, holding a 30.26% stake via Inodes. The exit is made possible as RAM shareholders at last week's annual general meeting greenlighted the removal of the 20% cap on individual shareholding in the credit rating agency. Oscar Matrix was among RAM shareholders who gave the nod to lift the ceiling. The 20% ceiling removal required an amendment to the RAM's company constitution, and the amendment was requisitioned by Cetos, which currently holds 19.23% in RAM. Cetos, among the four largest shareholders holding more than 15%, reportedly received the nod from the Securities Commission to raise its stake in RAM to more than 51% in April. There was no comment from Cetos or Creador as at time of recording. It is worth noting that the SE said on June 10th that it has given approval to more than one applicant to hold more than 20% shareholding in a CRA, although it did not specify in the statement which CRA it was referring to. Aside from Cetos and Oscar Matrix, other substantial shareholders of RAM include S&P Global Asian Holdings, Tunku Ali Redauddin Tuanku Mukhriz's vehicle Dragonline Solutions, and Hong Leong Bank. Cetos first emerged as a shareholder in July 2021 after it bought a 4.6% stake from CIMB Bank for 10.1 million ringgit. In April this year, Cetos acquired another 9.1% stake in RAM that was priced at 25.06 million, which values the CRA at 275.38 million based on a back-of-the-envelope calculation. In 2020, RAM booked a profit after tax of 8.38 million, with dividends totaling 3.5 million ringgit paid out. Cahaya Mata Sarawak is disposing of its entire 25% stakes in OM Materials Sarawak and OM Materials Samalaju to OM Materials for $120 million cash. A conditional share sale agreement has been signed between CMS and OMS, according to CMS's boss filing. OMS, a wholly owned subsidiary of Australian Securities Exchange and Bursa Malaysia listed OM Holdings, owns the remaining 75% stakes in both OM Sarawak and OM Samalaju. CMS said that pursuant to the SSA, the disposal consideration includes a full and final settlement and full discharge of all shareholders' loans, with total loans amounting to $10.77 million as at an assumed closing date of November 15, 2022. Of the disposal proceeds, CMS says it has earmarked $131.66 million for future acquisitions and investments, $105.68 million for capital expenditure, $263.31 million for working capital, and $25.98 million for estimated expenses of the proposed disposal. According to CMS, OM Sarawak operates a ferrosilicon and manganese alloy smelter in Sarawak, while OM Samalaju is involved in project development and project management services, where it develops and manages selected capital projects for OM Sarawak. Former 1MDB President and CEO Arul Kanda Kandasamy's lawyer told the High Court that he will stand by his MACC witness testimony if he is called as a prosecution witness in the 1MDB audit tampering trial. Arul Kanda's lawyer, Dato' N. Sivanandan, who was addressing Justice Mohamed Zaini Mazlan during the submissions of application to call Arul Kanda as a witness, said that his client is ready to take the stand. This came after Justice Zaini had asked the lawyer about Arul Kanda's stand on the matter and whether he has any objections. Arul Kanda and former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Razak are the two accused in this trial. On May 20th, the prosecution made a formal application to call Arul Kanda as a witness to testify against Najib. Lead Public Prosecutor Datuk Sri Gopal Sriram said the application made under Section 63 of the MACC Act 2009 was sanctioned by Attorney General Tan Sri Idrus Harun. During submission, Sivanandan also raised some practical considerations for the court to consider, primarily revolving around Arul Kanda's status after he delivers his evidence regardless of whether indemnity is given or not. He points out that after his client is no longer in the dock, they would no longer have the right to cross-examine the witness. Once Arul Kanda takes the stand, the judge has the option of granting him indemnity from the charges against him. Building material wholesaler UNITRADE Industries made its ACE market debut at 26.5 cents today, 17.2% lower than its initial public offering price of 32 cents. The lackluster debut was in line with the weaker broader market sentiment as global stocks and government bonds plunged again on Monday, with the sell-off pushing the US S&P 500 index into bear territory. UNITRADE managed to claw back some gains to end the day at 30 cents, still 6.25% lower than its issue price. It was Bursa Malaysia's most actively traded stock with 246.86 million shares transacted. Despite the muted debut, UNITRADE MD Nomis Sim Siang Leng says the group firmly believes its business fundamentals are strong and that it will continue to grow regardless of the share price performance. With the recent move to a warehouse twice the size of the previous one and the proceeds from the IPO, Sim says the group now has the capacity and ability to increase its warehouse volume and product range to meet growing demand for building materials from the construction sector. The Selangor-based company raised a total of 100 million from the listing, of which around half went to working capital, with a large chunk of the remaining amount going to repaying its bank borrowings. For the financial year ended March 31st, 2022, UNITRADE registered a revenue of 1.29 billion and a record-breaking net profit of 43.2 million ringgit. Rubber processor producer and trader SENG Holdings plans to raise 68.1 million from its initial public offering to finance expansion of its annual production capacity by 17% to 166,000 tons by 2023 from 142,000 tons currently. The company is due to be listed on the main market on July 7th. Managing Director Hock Lai says its immediate objectives post-listing include optimizing production by hiring more workers for a second working shift and implementing ESG initiatives. The company also intends to use part of the IPO proceeds to also repay its bank borrowings. Senior Manager in Development and Production Chong Wah Kiat also said that the company is unaffected by the current foreign labour shortage, as well as the new 1,500 ringgit per month minimum wage, as only 150 of its workers earn below that. SENG's IPO entails the issuance of 160.87 million shares, comprising a public issue of 90.81 million new shares and an offer for sale of 70.06 million shares at an issue price of 75 cents per share. Part of the funds raised will also go towards the installation of 2 biomass systems using wood chips and replacing diesel, which will result in savings of around 3.5 million ringgit. Says that SENG also intends to recommend at least 50% of its annual net profit as dividends to shareholders. For its third quarter ended March 31st, 2022, SENG posted a net profit of 13.36 million on the back of 261.94 million in revenue.